Hi everyone, it's Natalie here, and welcome to my channel. So if you're new, every week I do a reading using the general reading by Paul Foster Case. It's a Golden Dawn style reading that starts with the first operation and then goes into the general reading, and it's all part of an entire series of readings called The Opening of the Key. Originally. So I do not know the other parts of the opening of the key yet, but I'm a big fan of the general reading. I use it a lot with clients in various situations. So today's reading is for the week starting Saturday the 9th of November. Good heavens, November, all the way through to the 15th of November. So from Saturday the 9th to Friday the 15th. Okay, so I'm just going to shuffle these for a second or two, and then we're going to find our significator. Sometimes I do that before I start, other times it happens after I start. I can't remember if I said I'm using the Tarot de Saint Croix by Lisa de Saint Croix. It's early in the morning for me, and I realized if I was going to get this done this week, I needed to start early in the morning, which might be better for reading anyway. Okay, I'm having trouble finding our Fool. I frequently find that this is the case. There, oh no. There it is. So we have a trickster Fool in this deck. And I definitely find, as I've been working with it, that the trickster energy is definitely a part of this deck, as is a lot of High Priestess energy. And since both kind of form a large part of my own energy, this deck is really brilliant to work with. Okay, so that said, we're going to mix. We've elected our Fool as our significator, and we're going to mix them back into the deck and shuffle in order to make our piles and so on and so forth. Lie down, Bubba. Okay, there's not an audible sigh of relief, but there's a virtual one because that is the thickest pile here. Okay. Okay. So here they are. They were in the Pentacles pile. which is not such an intimidatingly huge pile this week. So let's go ahead and select the Amenti Oracle card. I love using these just to find a focus for the week to come. Oh, I've left my other one sitting up here. So this is last week's, and oops, wow, that was a hard sit. There we go. This is last week's, and I usually like to put her on the altar in my room, my little office, and just have her there to see. Wow, okay. So this week we have I Embrace the All. Okay, just bring it up nice and close so you can see it. Beautiful card. Okay, let's see what she has to say about this one. Number 42. Wow, okay, so cosmic consciousness. I embrace the all. Cosmic consciousness is a term first coined in 1901 in the book Cosmic Consciousness, a study in the evolution of the human mind by Richard Maurice Buck. The central tenet is that cosmic consciousness is a consciousness of the life and the order of the universe, which is possessed by few men at present. It is a further stage of human evolution, which will be reached by all humanity in the future. This is a very long, it's a long explanation, but I feel like we should go ahead and read it. If you don't want to hear the rest of it, please feel free to go ahead and fast forward as you see fit, and I'll continue. While at the present moment, the various gradients of the collective consciousness tend to anthropomorphize the idea of the all that is as a being, by embracing the ideal of the all, we can find relationship with our true being. And she says being with B-E-ing, with the B italicized. The all of our individual reality is our poetry in motion, the allegory and the metaphor of our story within the history of the universe, becoming consciousness of itself through its individual components, becoming conscious. Becoming cosmically aware, we illuminate our darkness with the sparks of light that experience provides us as we emerge from the caverns of ignorance into a space of crystalline clarity. To know the all, we must see the all as a type of awareness, a nebula amid the nebulousness, the key which opens all the doors of perception and potential. Embracing this ideal, we find a relationship with the power of doing as well as being. We allow the stellar force of life to give us gravity in the moments that ground us, but also elevate us through levity, reflection, and creativity in the moments that knock us off our feet. Wow. The invisible patterns that govern intelligent design reveal their geometry in nature, the cosmos, and the varying degrees of consciousness you ascend toward as you learn and find your vision by experiencing the all. And then there's a quote here from the Tablets of Thoth. Man is a star bound to a body, until in the end he is freed through his strife. That's interesting. Through his strife. He's freed through his strife. Not around it, not over it, not by transcending it, right? But through it. Wow. Only by struggle and toiling thy utmost shall the star within thee bloom out in new life. He who knows the commencement of all things, free is his star from the realm of night. Interesting. And that's from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. There's just one little bit more. This is the final card in the deck, by the way, I just realized. So once you begin to see this pattern, the idea of embracing this ideal becomes manifest in awareness of the concept that creation created you to be creative. All is within, but also without. And if you look to beyond the surface, you can appreciate this pattern with your every breath. You are the cosmos made conscious. And this moment is but one chapter in a story that never ends. Wow, I think the Tibetans would definitely agree with this on so many levels. So, wow. So embracing the all is about finding a relationship with the power of doing and the power of being. So it's balance. Again, always coming back to balance in this deck, and looking for balance in our lives. Beautiful. Okay, so follow that, tarot. That's such a beautiful, intense message. I don't know how we're gonna quite figure that one out, but you know, that's the joy of this process, isn't it? Okay. Okay, so we're ready to go ahead and count. Let's do the counting here. So with the Fool, who is an element card, that's 3. So 1, 2, 3. So we have the Queen of Swords. And she's 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay, the Hierophant. Let's see, the Hierophant is a zodiac. So 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Whoa, really? A 2-card reading? Could we be so lucky? So let's see. 1, 2, 3. So that's worth 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hierophant. 12, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wow. All right, guys. So we have a 2-card reading this week. This is rare, but it does sometimes happen. Yeah, it's very rare, but it does sometimes happen, and we do sometimes experience that as it is. So I should have said at the very outset that this week we're in the Pentacles pile. So being in the Pentacles pile means that the solution to any answer that we come to, we will arrive at through being or sensing. So interestingly, what I forgot to say when we were looking at the I Embrace the All card is that where it's talking about being and doing and finding the balance between the two. Pentacles, interestingly, could lead us to the idea that there's something we need to do, right? Because it's about money, it's about property, it's about stuff, it's about wealth, it's about managing wealth, managing resources. the physical body, the things that govern earthly matters, because it's the earth element. And what we're being told this week very distinctly is that finding that balance means that what we'll need to do is spend more time sensing and being in order to embrace the all, which I think is probably about right, because our culture wants to tell us that we need to be doing something virtually all the time. So this is a very, very interesting idea. And it gives us a very, very interesting reading. So I'm not even going to flip I'm not even going to flip the camera around or contemplate taking a break before moving on. I feel like we can just go ahead and look at this. So we have the Queen of Swords and we have the Hierophant, and neither of them have anything to do with Pentacles, right? Nothing at all. And in fact, let's just look, since we've got the ability to do this a little bit. I'm curious about sharing, I'm interested, I would like to share Lisa de Saint Croix's, what would I call it? Description. That's what I want. Description of the Queen of Swords. I've had a lot of doing this week. I have managed to balance it with being. I have been peaceful, but it has been a very busy week. Okay, so the Queen of Swords in this deck is Athena. So Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom, appears here as if on a Greek vase, an idea about an idea. She is a warrior for truth and justice. The owl sitting on her shoulder represents her clear vision. Medusa on her cloak is an emblem of bravery. So the meaning is make decisions with clarity and focus. So that seems to be pretty obvious. I just like the way she talks about Medusa and about the owl, honestly. I love that. And Athena, I would have ordinarily, I think, associated Athena with wands rather than swords, but because I would have assumed, I'd probably put Artemis actually with swords with wands rather than swords. Boy, you can tell that the coffee has not fully activated yet. It's on its way. So, yeah. So the Queen of Swords is obviously telling us to pause and think before acting. And I mean, looking at that spear, she is, she's got to think before she acts. She doesn't want to take that spear and drive it into someone, or take action that's not very, very wisely considered. I also appreciate that Medusa on her cloak, because to me that's about embracing the aspects of ourselves that are fierce, that are a little bit ugly and difficult to manage, and being willing to be with it and recognize its usefulness, right? But without needing to hurt anyone with it, right? We tend to avoid anger. We avoid things that are difficult because we feel like doing that means that we are awful, that we're bad, that we're angry, that we're ugly, that we're difficult. But it's not true. It's just the way that certain circumstances arise, right, that create that. And so I feel like with this card and with, comparing it and holding it next to embracing the all, in order to be wise, in order to make wise decisions, we have to allow ourselves to be and sense and feel and think. And this is a Pentacles pile. So the Queen of Swords is definitely about thinking. But really, in order to accept this Medusa, right, and accept this kind of difficulty of who and what we are, we have to be able to be. We have to be with ourselves. We have to be with whatever the situations are in order that we can make these wise decisions. So I would say this one is about the wisdom of pausing, sensing, feeling, breathing before acting. It may not mean like taking long pauses and meditation breaks. It might be literally just that space between stimulus and response. So that is a wise action. And then I love this Hierophant card, which is the Dalai Lama and a green Buddha. And this green Buddha is associated with the green Tara. So this is from the Karma family. And a green Buddha is always about wise action. And it is action, it is movement, but it's always from a place of wisdom, interestingly. So, and it's compassionate. Let's see what she says about her Hierophant. Wow, so she says the Hierophant represents spiritual authority. Here we go. A ritual leader who guides and teaches us. The Hierophant is someone who incorporates the divine into every day. Yeah, let's see. The meaning of this one. In our search to understand the meaning of life, we look for a teacher, a Hierophant who will channel divine wisdom. So the meaning here is listen to spiritual teachers. That's the advice. So a very, very specific reading of the Hierophant card in this deck. I do tend to like, when I read, I like to know how a particular deck is being interpreted. In addition, obviously, to my own impressions and ideas about the deck. But I also deeply appreciate the perspective of the creator, because the creator's perspective is forming a lot of the energy of the deck. And I enjoy that collaboration. So in looking at, this Queen of Swords, she's looking for someone wise with whom she can consult. And I will say, after years of experience of working with spiritual teachers who I have, for various reasons, needed to walk away from, sensing is really the only way to know for sure whether a spiritual teacher is worth your time and effort. How do you feel in your body? How does your body respond to or react to that particular teacher? That will tell you exactly what you need to know. So I had to take a little break there so I could say goodbye to Tom because he's leaving for the day. I think I accidentally tilted upward. There we go. So I feel like for this week, looking at what we need to do, we need to pause. Clearly, this is kind of an admonition in some respect. Although I probably should quit thinking of it that way, but it's the advice. Let's say it's the advice to pause before acting in order to make wise decisions. Sometimes those wise decisions may include making difficult decisions, right, that come from a recognition that we need to have really strong boundaries. I would say Medusa is definitely, and it's Medusa on a cloak. So symbolically, there's a boundary there. So we may find ourselves in positions this week where, the need is definitely to embrace the all by enacting really effective uses of boundaries. And that comes from wisdom. And it comes from compassion. And the wisdom and compassion part is definitely being upheld here by our Hierophant. There's a story that I'm reminded of here about a particular spiritual teacher where the advice was given, I'm trying to think, I think it was from this particular teacher to Sharon Salzberg. And the teacher advised her, that sometimes, basically the summary of it is that sometimes you do have to, you do have to act in ways that may not feel completely comfortable if you're on a completely nonviolent path, right? If you're really striving to be nonviolent. But the reality is that sometimes we have to do those things in order to maintain our sovereignty, our well-being, our health, etc. And there are the reason that this story is particular to Sharon Salzberg is that the wisdom in it is that sometimes the action we have to take is not always a very wise seeming action, right? So in this particular example, the teacher says, the thief who would steal your wallet or pick your pocket is not seeing the sage. He's seeing the pocket, right? So if you think about, why would someone have done that to me? Well, it's not about you. It's about the person that's doing the thing, right? So we have to find the way to reach the person that's doing the thing. And coming to that person from the place of, total peace, total non-judgment, etc., is not always what's wise. Sometimes the wisest action is to take an action that would seem otherwise, crass, unspiritual, etc., but it's necessary. And each of us can only know how or what that is through our own wisdom and through our own self-counsel. Sometimes the asking, I feel like, the spiritual teacher that, that the Buddha would recommend that you go see, frankly, would be yourself. So sometimes we have spiritual teachers that we can consult, and other times we really don't. You have to be willing and able to consult with yourself. The reason I became a Buddhist in the first place is because of reading various different places and in various different contexts, this idea that the Buddha was perpetually telling his followers and telling various people in various circumstances who weren't even Buddhist, that the only way to really know something would be to come back to yourself, and your own wisdom, test it out for yourself, right? Sense it out for yourself. And that has to do with that Pentacles pile, right? Sometimes we can think it out for ourselves. In this case, we're being asked to sense it out for ourselves. So knowing what's right in a particular moment is something that only you can know. And you have to know it for yourself and to be able to act from that place. And to do so with full authority, knowing that it's really okay to do that. It has to be. We've got two very sort of, the queen, having Athena there, we've got a goddess and we've got a Hierophant that's the Dalai Lama, who's the very embodiment of compassion. So we literally have wisdom and compassion. We have, right, the doing and the being, all represented here in this one reading. So in itself, it is really rather perfect. Right. So I wish you all a beautiful week. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.